Live from multiple locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing. Featuring dangerous Dan Margetta and Brian Schmidt. LTN is a caller-driven program, and your participation is encouraged by calling 414-421-7901. That's 414-421-7901. Now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And welcome to the program. We're racing in Nashville, Tennessee at the Super Speedway. Do not confuse this place with the Nashville Fairgrounds. That's another deal completely. Happy Sunday to you. Todd Bailing in Greendale, Wisconsin, joined by my two partners. But still, I'm not used to saying that yet. It's funny. After saying three partners for so many years. Dan Margetta of St. Francis, Wisconsin. Morning, Dano.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. It's kind of cool being at Nashville. It seems like a pretty cool city, and I've never really been downtown there. I heard it's a fun place, and I think if you're going to go see a race, this would be a cool one to go to because there's so much to do outside the racetrack as well. I mean, they're on the old Speedway. They're not at the fairgrounds. Probably a little better show at the fairgrounds if they can get there, but they're still working on it.
I'm remembering Lebanon or something like that. It's like, I don't know, half an hour east, something like that. Brian Schmidt of Utzberg, Wisconsin. Hey.
Good morning. Yeah, and remember now, this is the first year that Nashville Super Speedway is under the SMI banner. So when you tune in on the radio today to listen to it on the Big 920, you'll hear the guys from the PRN network. And I guess I didn't realize that till I was listening on the radio yesterday on my way to Wilmot, and it was the PRN guys talking about how it was their first time there. So remember that big transaction happened over the offseason there? Dover and Nashville were both acquired by SMI. So different group of people running it this year.
Forget about all that. Speaking of the Big 920, coverage starts right here at 5 o'clock this afternoon. It's a late race. The green flag is at 6:22 Central Time. And speaking of not just the first time it's SMI track, it's also the first race for NBC. It will be on Channel 4 in Milwaukee and whatever NBC affiliate, wherever you are listening. And we have listeners all over the place apparently showing up on Facebook, and it's great to have you. So that it's a late start for one reason or another. It's a 1.3-mile track. Go ahead, Brian.
And I heard some of the reasons for that. If you remember the first 2 years they were there, it was so incredibly hot. I mean, you get the old saying, it's like hot dogs on a weenie roller sitting in that grandstand there. And then last year they had that rain, and so many people didn't leave. And I heard an interview this week that said a lot of the ticket holders there complimented how nice it was in the evening when they raced at night. And that gave them the idea, hey, maybe this isn't a bad idea to run this race at night. And lo and behold, it's a sellout today. So them moving it to the evening didn't hurt their ticket sales at all. In fact, a lot of the ticket holders are thanking them for that because it'll be a much more comfortable environment to sit in and watch the race today.
But imagine
that's always been at night. I mean, when they ran the old fairgrounds track, that was always a night race. I remember back in like in 1981 or 82, we first got cable TV, and we were flipping around the channels, and I came on the Nashville network, and I'm like, this is like NASCAR cars, and they're running at this short track at night. It was the first time I saw a short track race. It was the Nashville race that was on.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff, no doubt. Like we mentioned more than once, so you'll be watching it a little later. It didn't affect sales like they said. It's first they announce it's a sellout, and then they say there are tickets available in the high-priced seating areas. So either it's a sellout or it's not. Ross Chastain starts on the pole, 160.687 miles per hour. He was the only car to break the 30-second mark, 29.797. The 45 car was second at a 30.005. Stages are at lap 90 and lap 185. It's a 300-lapper on a 1.3-mile track. Be fun to watch, and it's a night race, so everything about it is a little different and kind of fun.
And that's the first pole for Trackhouse? I didn't realize that Trackhouse hadn't got a pole yet.
Yeah, and they're based out of Nashville, or at least that's where their office is. I don't think the actual shop is out of Nashville. Dan, do you?
No, I think they acquired the old Ganassi shop right down in North Carolina. I believe that's where they moved into.
Okay.
But I believe Justin Marks is from the Nashville area, so he may have his office somewhere there.
No, they've got a Nashville bar as a major sponsor on the 99 car. Tootsie's is a local hot spot, and they're on the car. And then to make everything really beautiful, Suarez makes the cut for the second round. He was he one of the two groups fast qualifier, and then he spun around, hit the wall on his qualifying lap. We'll go to the rear. Somebody sounded like they were going to say something there. That's how it is when we're not all sitting in the same room. We have to feed off each other a little bit. Speaking of, there's only three of us doing the show these days. Our long-lost partner, Ed Kaluka, has his celebration of life today. If you'd like to attend, it's open to the public. It's going to be at Slinger Speedway from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's at the Lynch Pavilion, which is the hospitality pavilion at the south end of the racetrack. Come on in, and there'll probably be some good Kaluka stories to be had. What's left of Ed's family, Susie will be there, but remember he lost one of his two sons and one of his three kids, Michael, just 2 years ago, which I think really made his last 2 years on this earth pretty hard to deal with. But Scott and Kathleen will also be there today. So Ed's celebration of life today, 1 to 3 at Slinger Speedway. Look forward to seeing many of you listeners up there, I would think. There was absolutely nothing to my big revelation last week that Tony Stewart cleared out his office at Stewart-Haas. What does that mean? Well, that means he probably needed to clean out his office, I guess, because he was one of the principals that was right there for the big announcement this week. To absolutely no one's surprise, because a couple different outlets reported on it. Josh Berry will officially take over the number 4 car next year. No sponsor was named. Budweiser. Let's put it this way. They have options. They could come back and sponsor Josh Berry, which I would think would be a wonderful thing to do. They could also reevaluate and cut back on their sponsorships. They could also move to another vehicle looking for full-time sponsorship, but I'm not really sure that would be the best thing for them. I think it's always good for a beer company to have a presence in NASCAR. They kind of go together hand in hand, it seems to me. So even though I say that, and you don't see Coors like we used to, you don't see Miller like you used to, at least Anheuser-Busch is around with their Busch and Busch Light brands and all of that. And with all the negative publicity that they got not long ago for their silly-ass move concerning Bud Light, this might be a good idea for them to stick around and sponsor Josh Berry. Guys, if you're like me, you were totally impressed with Tony Stewart's comments when he said it isn't about dad's money buying him a ride. This guy earned his way into a Cup ride.
Go ahead, Dan.
I thought that was really cool. I mean, I wish a few more owners would have that kind of attitude as well. I think performance and it ought to get you there and not cash. But to get to this level, you ought to prove yourself and win to get here, and not just stick yourself in there just because you can buy a ride. Don't you think so, Brian?
Absolutely. I mean, that was refreshing to hear, and I can't honestly remember the last time I heard anybody say that. I mean, it's years and years and years since you've heard an owner stand up there and say something like that, because usually it's all about the money, and it's all about the money you're able to bring and what sponsorships you have behind you, and there was none of that. It was all about performance, and that was unbelievably cool to see and refreshing. And hopefully Tony sets the stage for others to do the same, but I doubt it. Not everybody has an owner like Haas behind you also.
That was my point. That makes it easy for Tony to say stuff like that too. Remember, Gene Haas is the one that said, Let's put another car out there. I really like Kurt Busch and he's available. Remember that? We'll just sponsor him. And that car has been pretty much the Haas automation car ever since. So, there's Tony Stewart, the racer, which is why Gene Haas got him in the first place. Just because it made it turned his whole organization around and made it into a frontline entity, having Stewart in the house. We're very happy you tuned in today. This is the Nashville episode of LTN. We're going to sneak away for a break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. By the way, if you'd like to call us about anything, anytime, 414-421-7901. We will be right back.
From racing racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines. Just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with 8 adults. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Inflation compensation is back.
Oh, yes.
Demand your supply of $1,000.
$1,000? Oh!
Just listen for the keywords to text in to win $1,000. Happening now on thebig920.com.
Welcome back to LTN. Glad you could join us this beautiful Sunday morning. So this is a kind of a big deal, even though you may not think it is. Joe Gibbs, is 82 years old. I didn't realize he's that old. There's a couple of car owners. Penske's in his 80s, What exactly went into Joe Gibbs' decision to sell a portion of his team to one of these sports entertainment groups? I know they bring marketing expertise. They bring a nice cash flow into it. But he sold to an outfit called Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. Josh Harris is the new owner of Joe Gibbs' old football team, the Washington Commanders. He wasn't really the Commanders coach, but you know where this is going. So that's interesting right there, that there's going to be a connection now between Joe Gibbs and his old football team. But Harris isn't the only one. This Blitzer dude owns part of the Steelers too. So this is very confusing to me. How can one entity own more than one NFL franchise? Now, they don't own it. I guess Harris is the coach of the Commanders, but he's part of the group that owns the Steelers, are a piece of the Steelers. They also own the New Jersey Devils of the NHL, part of the Cleveland Indians, or I guess we call them something else these days now. Boy, they buy into teams that change their names, I guess. Those are the Guardians, the team that the Brewers are playing right now. Plus the Philadelphia 76ers, partial owners of all those franchises. Plus they own a English soccer league team, another Bundesliga, whatever the hell. I don't know my soccer, to be honest with you. They own one of those teams or part of it, and a U.S. soccer team, pro soccer team too. They are very well divested, and now they own part of Joe Gibbs Racing. Boy, you talk about a sports franchise. This Harris Blitzer. I'm not sure why I never heard of them before, but they're major players, guys. And it's kind of neat that they're going to have something to do with NASCAR now.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good move. I mean, a lot of teams have been doing this. I mean, Roush kind of started it back when he brought the Fenway group in, and other teams have always brought in a partner. Did Childress have one for a while too? I'm not real sure on that, but it seems that's kind of the way things are going, just for financial stability. And then look at Joe Gibbs. I mean, their future kind of took some big hits. I mean, AD passed away and Roy passed away last year. I mean, those were kind of the guys that were in line to kind of take over. This helps keep drivers, and I think it helps get some sponsors too. They went through that as well. M&M's left, and when M&M's Mars left, they couldn't keep Kyle Busch, and it was hard to find the money they're looking for. So I think this is a good step for them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of this, like I said, Dan said, stems from Coy being gone, JD being gone. I mean, it really left Joe in a tough situation. Where are you going to go from here? Who are the next people in line to move this organization forward, and to bring in some of these powerful sports business people that really know the ins and outs of sports business as good as anybody, and have, the Devils are a very successful franchise. The Sixers are a successful franchise. Washington was a successful franchise in the NFL. So you got teams that really in the past have a good history there, and to bring them in and to work with this organization and keep this organization moving, I think was a smart move on their part.
Well past many of our lifetimes, Ty Gibbs' future more than likely will be to own the team. However, his driving career is just getting underway, and he's going to be doing that for a good 20 years, even though the kid is, what is he, like 20 years old maybe at this point?
Yeah, I don't think he's even old enough to drink yet.
Good God. Be careful. I got orange juice in Victory Lane if the kid actually won a race. But he will be the future, but that's a long ways off, and it's Joe Gibbs will be gone and buried before that kid gets anywhere near running that franchise. So it's interesting. I mean, I think the whole thing is pretty cool that they brought in a one of these sports entertainment deals. What exactly? I remember Fenway being a franchise. They owned the Liverpool team in speaking of British soccer teams, which is one of the legendary franchises out there. They also owned. Wasn't there a guy that hooked up with Ray Evernham one time? That was one of those sports franchise guys too, back in the day. I can't remember, but they might have sold out. Plus, didn't Michael Waltrip's team hook up with some dude too? I think that was a partial.
He was with Kaufman. Waltrip was with Kaufman. And
Kaufman's still around.
Yeah, I think he's still part of that race team alliance.
Pretty cool all the way around. So welcome, Harris Blitzer. Whatever it was, we're going to learn more about it in the very near future. We mentioned Nashville, where they're racing today. They're still working on figuring out what to do with the Nashville Fairgrounds racetrack. They did a study. They figured out that the place needs $40 million in improvements. Well, for them to be on the NASCAR Cup schedule, $40 million doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. What does it cost them every year to do all the work to change the LA Coliseum back and forth? A couple of mil. To do the dirt at Bristol, that has to be a couple of mil worth of work and all that. So if you'll remember, when they were starting to throw money around at the end of COVID, that's when the money all got funneled into North Carolina, and they paid, was it $18 million to North Wilkesboro to bring it back? For what exactly? One all-star race? Did they plan to do anything else with it? Or maybe it'll be a regular on the trucks tour in the future. They're talking about it, but really, was that an $18 million investment worthwhile?
I think it's going to be on the Cup schedule next year. In fact, I mean, the rumor is, the biggest rumor you hear is that the dirt race at Bristol is going to be going away. They're not going to put dirt on it, and that date is going to go to North Wilkesboro. And if you think about it, they're both SMI properties. Makes sense. So all that money may not have gone to waste. Now, whether they repave it or not before you run another race there, that I don't know. But again, then you need to have the money to do that, because they paved everything but the racing service there. So we'll see if they race on it again.
Can you imagine thinking about what you're talking about? Remember what a hot ticket Bristol was in the past? I mean, it was a sellout. The first time I went to Bristol, we walked up to the gate in 1982 and bought tickets for Marge and myself and my 3 kids at the start-finish line and watched the race that night. And when Earnhardt was driving the number 15 Ford, remember those days, Earnhardt and a Ford? Woohoo! Can't do that. That was a hot ticket for the longest time. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
July features fireworks, and there'll be plenty of it this Saturday night at the Fair Park in Plymouth with 3 divisions of open-wheel race cars. The bumper-to-bumper IRA sprint cars. Also, the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprint cars and the very fast Lightning sprints. Gates open at 4:30, packing and hot laps at 5:30. The Fair Park featuring a covered grandstand with seat backs throughout, a new sound system, and great food. We'll see you there.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 from Nashville.
Reddick and Truex making up ground on Ryan Blaney, but they're not going to get there.
Trouble, the car spinning down the front stretch here. That's going to be Kevin Harvick. We got A.J. Allmendinger with a big spin off of turn 4. He's going to collect a couple of cars. We've got a car spinning off turn 2. It's Kyle Larson.
The Ally 400, Sunday, June 25th at 5 p.m.
On Milwaukee's Home for NASCAR, the Big 920, and your iHeartRadio app.
Well, the time is almost here, folks. Believe it or not, all the talk, all the complaining, all the conjecture about racing in downtown Chicago is coming in a big hurry, like next weekend. And my 2 partners are actually going to go to the race. You've had your hotel for quite a while, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw what was going on there when they made that announcement. As upset as we were because we were losing. Selfishly, we were losing our race at Road America. I kind of thought, well, let's see what's going to happen with this. And I was able to book a room in the Congress Hotel, which is right between turns 8 and 10. And I have a room supposedly with a lake view, and I got it before they knew about the race. So I got the price in a reasonable category there. So we're all set to go. It's just a matter of what we're going to be able to see. And, it says my mom had stayed in that hotel before, and she says she could see Buckingham Fountain from it. So that means I should be able to see some of the course from my room if we're up high enough. So we'll see. But we still plan on getting out, checking everything out, seeing what a person can see, because this is something completely new. I've never been to a street circuit before.
Yeah, same here.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, same here. I'm going to go with this with an open mind and kind of curious to see what it's all about, and just way different, way different than what we're used to, and see how it goes. I mean, it's kind of cool to be a part of the first one.
Yeah, I have to bring some walking shoes, that's for sure, because that's what a lot of it is going to be. It's going to be park on Friday afternoon, and you should be able to get through everything on foot. I've been to Chicago a couple times before where we've taken a train down there as a family. We've gone to some Cubs games, and you get off at the train depot and you walk around. Now, still going to drive down there because we have a lot of equipment to bring, because we'll be broadcasting from this next week. But we'll be able to see see where you'll be able to maneuver around and see what it is. They have some of the logistical stuff figured out now. The Cup Garage is going to be on the street just outside of turn 12. So if you look at a map of the circuit, turn 12 is the final corner on Columbus Drive and Jackson Drive before they go down the front straightaway. To the north of there is where they're going to have the Cup Garage. So I would assume that street's going to be blocked off, and I don't know if they're going to work off the back of their truck gates or how they're actually going to do it. We'll be able to check that out. Along with the Xfinity cars, they're going to be on one of the other streets along the side there as well. So the idea of what they're bringing to the public is the garage area is going to be outside of the ticketed area. So there's going to be a fence. So conceivably, you're going to be able to walk up as just a not even a paying customer and be able to look through the fence and see these guys working on the cars. That's one of the big things they're trying to sell.
That's cool when you think about it. It's a great idea. It's a great experiment. Julie Giese of Colby, Wisconsin, is the president of the event. And boy, those people have been working hard to get this whole thing put together. I saw an interview with Josh Balicki this week, who was talking about the road course, working on a simulator, and he said that the road course was so rough that the cars coming off the ground. I thought they did some repaving down there.
Right. Well, when they scanned this particular course, this is back during the COVID era, when NASCAR wasn't actually racing. You remember they scanned these city streets when everything was locked down and shut down, and they ran that virtual race online that time. So that was during the old surface. Now they paved parts of the track. The exact amounts, I'm not exactly sure. I think they paved Startup Balboa Drive because that was pretty rough. I think they did some of Columbus Drive where the front straightaway is going to be. I don't believe they did the entire circuit because I think Lakeshore Drive was in pretty good shape. But so what you see on the simulator is a lot rougher than what you're probably going to see when they show up next week and make their first laps on Saturday.
All right. We've got Paul from Racine waiting to talk to us here with a couple of minutes to go. Paul, welcome.
Happy Sunday, everyone.
Yeah.
I wanted to I saw Dave Coleman had an article that Roger Penske had visited the mile last Sunday prior to the Road America race. And I don't know if Brian's going to touch on this in the local results, but how was the ASA race at the mile? You got any comments on that? And then how is Bob Sargent? He seems very committed to reviving the Milwaukee Mile, and just like, is he kind of some insight into him?
The crowd was terrible, I didn't think, but there was about as many people there as there was at Slinger. Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, we've talked to Bob Sargent numerous times and met with him, and I just saw him about a month ago when we were down in Illinois, and he's a very approachable guy, very hands-on guy, rolls up his sleeves, gets to it, and he's got a lot of ideas and things he wants to do with the Milwaukee Mile. So I believe that's why he invited Roger Penske in. Just so happened both races, in the state were going on at the same time. So he, instead of, not making it work out, he used it to his advantage and thought, well, since he's here, he'll bring him in. And Roger came in and he showed him around and looked at what they had to do. You can read between the lines as to what you think is going on there. Paul, I know you're an IndyCar fan, so you're probably thinking what I'm thinking as to why he brought him down there. But I think Sargent has ideas of doing the most he can with the Milwaukee Mile.
And thank goodness we have somebody that believes in a place and wants it to work. That's what it's needed more than anything else over the years. And between the fact that the Fair Board seems to have evolved to where they would like to see racing, and a guy that believes in the track and wants to promote here, I think it's all good, positive signs.
Yeah, and Bob Sargent is big into history. He's kind of a history nerd when it comes to tracks, and I mean he works with the two historical dirt miles in Illinois, and is able to bring them and get some racing to run there. So he knows history of facilities, and he doesn't want to see the history go away because he's a race fan too. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's having a guy like that behind you, not just a money guy that's looking at a money grab. This is a guy that believes in racing, believes in the history of racing, and wants to do what's best for those facilities. It's the best guy you could have, in my opinion.
There wasn't much of a money grab last week. The state still got concessions and parking, I guess, and and then Sargent had to rent the track and pay the purse. And wow, I hope it was a positive experience all the way around for him, because if there's anything we want around here, it's a future for the Milwaukee Mile. Wouldn't that be the? And
from everything I've heard, the truck race that's coming up at the end of August, ticket sales are ahead of where they thought they were going to be in an article I read. So that's a plus. Now that doesn't mean, there's plenty of seats available. That place holds a lot. So if you don't have tickets yet, get your tickets and get there and get to that event, because that's the one that's going to show whether this can go forward or maybe this isn't going to work out. And I think that's going to be the one right there. The fans going to show up for this. And if they do, I think then it's full speed ahead to try to get as much racing as we can there.
Paul, we thank you for the call. We're going to sneak away to a break. We're glad you're listening here this Sunday morning to LTN right here on the Big 920, and we'll be right back.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with 8 adults. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
July features fireworks, and there'll be plenty of it this Saturday night at the Fair Park in Plymouth with 3 divisions of open-wheel race cars, the bumper-to-bumper IRA sprint cars, also the Plymouth Dirt Track Racing MSA sprint cars, and the very fast Lightning sprints. Gates open at 4:30, packing and hot laps at 5:30. The Fair Park featuring a covered grandstand with seat backs throughout, a new sound system, and great food. We'll see you there.
This week on NASCAR Live, Ryan Preece joined the show.
I really enjoy the mile and a half where we have to lift, we have to use the brake, we have to have the tools in the toolbox to do things as a driver to get around that racetrack. So that's what I like about Nashville, is it's a cross between a mile and a half, but at the same time a short track. You know, we have to do different things to make speed.
There's much more waiting for you each week on NASCAR Live.
Every Tuesday night at 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Well, the big announcement this week, we jumped right into it. Get that? That's pretty nice. Chase Elliott is coming to race in the Slinger Nationals this year. I know that Chase has wanted to race in the Nationals since he came in, 2016, before. Those were the days when there was still a rule at Hendrick Motorsports that you couldn't race anywhere else. And, of course, so that was, in other words, before the days that Kyle Larson was on board, because that was part of his deal and had opened it up to all the rest of the guys over there. And Chase, I mean, I asked him point blank. You know, I told him one time at the press conference when right before the championship 2 years ago, he was one of the final 4, and I was talking to him, and I said, boy, it'd be nice to have you back at Slinger. And you could tell his demeanor changed. He was very bored about the press conference, but I was over there talking to him on the side, and he just beamed immediately. He said, man, I can't wait to get back to that place. That place at least seems so cool. So he's charged up about it. I mean, imagine this is his idea. He wanted to come back, and he's going to be right now. Imagine we also have William Byron, the defending champion of the event, coming back. Matt Kenseth is coming out of retirement to race at Slinger, where I just can't tell you how important that is for Matt, because how good he is at that racetrack. And there may be another Cup driver to be named yet in that event. If you don't have your tickets yet for the Slinger Nationals, to our listeners here, and you're interested in seeing those guys, oh, by the way, who might the other driver be? Eric Jones, but don't tell anybody. And we don't know that he's coming. It's just a rumor at this point, all right? But think about it. William Byron, Matt Kenseth, and now Chase Elliott, and joined by the top short track guys in the country. It's going to be quite an event. It's coming up Tuesday night, July 11th, and I suspect I'm going to see many of you there, and that'll be a pretty cool thing. Can you imagine? Chase Elliott is racing at Slinger. It's pretty exciting, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to see him come, what he can do at Slinger. I mean, I think he wants to race there. I could tell when he was there in 16 when they wouldn't let him race, just came to watch, that he wanted to be out there. And he's got the car. I mean, the car he's bringing is Ricky Turner's car, which is a pretty good piece. And I think he can do all right. I'm not sure he can win it, but then again, I said that about Byron last year, and he ended up winning the thing. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. After all, think of the talent it takes. And remember how it came down last year. Ty Majeski was leading the thing late, and Ty was really making William Byron Work, who was trying to pass him on the outside, and Ty was using that racetrack up, and the kid never lifted, and he stuck with it and managed to finally get around Ty Majeski. It was quite a show, so be fun to watch this year. Now, all that optimism and good news, I saw this week one of the all-time great race car drivers to ever sit in a NASCAR Cup car, Cale Yarborough. I don't know if you saw what his daughter had posted, but Cale he's on his last laps right now. He doesn't have use of his arms or legs, and he's confined to a wheelchair all the time. He's still can think straight, and he's very happy to hear from all the fans who have been expressing their best wishes to the guy. He's not on social media. He doesn't have somebody doing that for him. But Cale Yarborough looks like he's reaching the end of the line. The last time we saw him, wasn't he the surprise guest at the NASCAR Awards banquet when Jimmy Johnson won his third in a row? Fourth? Maybe it was his fourth one.
Yeah, it was his fourth, because then he
beat Yarborough's record of 3 in a row.
Right. That's, I think, when it was. Yeah, look how long ago that's been now already. But I saw a while now that Cale wasn't doing real good, and I guess that happens as you get older. It's kind of sad, because Cale was one of the rough and tumble guys that you like to root for, and kind of the old guard
when he was young too.
Yeah, I mean, he just a tough guy, really. I mean, when I talk about tough, it was Cale Yarborough, and that's where all the comparisons that come out. Well, what would Cale Yarborough say, about things?
And then you think about Bobby Allison, who was never really known as a fighter, holding Yarborough's leg on the backstretch at Daytona when they were fighting in the classic finish in '76.
What do you say? Yeah. Cale's nose went to beating on my fist or something like that.
That's where we're always so blessed every time we go to a cup race and we see Richard Petty walking through the pit area, how cool it is that he's still upright, mobile, and in such good shape for the age he is, because those guys are all around the same age, and you see, Pearson and Yarborough and all those historical guys. We saw Bobby Allison down in Florida when we were down there for Daytona, and he looks pretty rough too. So to see Richard in such good shape still wandering around there, that's a blessing to see him that well when these other guys are kind of suffering. And they all, raced at a hard time. They didn't have all the equipment that they got now. You think about the amount of fumes those guys inhaled all those years racing those cars the way they did and the hits they took, and compared to what we have now.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Richard Petty when we're talking about 80-something-year-old car owners. Richard Petty, although his actual participation in the team seems to be on the downward trajectory, especially since Jimmy Johnson came on board. Oh, that's right. Jimmy Johnson's going to be racing at Chicago next week, too. Let us not forget. And it's a road course, first time ever road course. Really, guys, it's kind of like a crapshoot right now. So many drivers are going to be in the mix next week, at least right now. So much is going to come out of qualifying. If you don't qualify at the front of the field, you better have a trick up your field, skip a pit stop, or skip something to get you back up there for track position next week. But I forgot, you're going to see Jimmy Johnson racing in Chicago too. Pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's going to be a total crapshoot, I think. If you people that play these DraftKings things or these betting things, it's going to be like a super speedway race. I think everybody's got a shot. I mean, you may want to put a few bucks on some super high long shots because they may come in.
Think about that.
And you're going to have minimal track time. I mean, they have the 50-minute practice session, but this place, they're not shutting everything down until Saturday morning. So Friday, everybody's going to come in. The streets, some of them will still be open, so they'll be able to walk around and check it out a little bit. But they're going to get on the track at 12:30, and they're going to have till 1:20 to figure it out. And on a road course, you don't get as many laps as you do when you're on an oval. So you got to 1:20 you qualify. Your 1:20 your practice ends, and right away at 1:30 you go into qualifying. And that's that. So
I would be very interested to hear during our last segment. We're coming up on a break, and then we're going to come back with results. But in our last segment, if we have anybody, a listener that has tickets for Chicago, I'd like to hear your plans. Did you get a hotel? Are you going to spend the night? Are you just driving down? What are your expectations? What's your plan? We'd like to hear the logistics on it, and that would be after the next break. So 414-421-7901 if we have any listeners that are actually going. Are you staying in a hotel like my partner's right on the racetrack? That's pretty fancy anyway. And Matt, you're going to have Joe hang on for a while before we come back, because we're going to sneak away and do a break. We're glad you're listening. LTN returns right after these messages.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Set the damn tone, baby. Every Sunday at noon, we replay the choice cuts of Packers history. Join us for Packers Prime with Doug Russell.
This week on Packers Prime, we go back to the Phil Bankston era.
He fights his way up to 25. He breaks the 30. He's got to go all the way. Touchdown.
The 1970 Packers defensive struggle classic against the Vikings. This week on Packers Prime.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
One thing this drought that we have up here in Wisconsin has done is allowed these tracks to get their weekly shows in consistently without any issues. And we have that, again, with a full list of racing this week. We'll start Tuesday night up in Beaver Dam. The IMCA Modifieds ran for an additional purse this week of $1,500, and Brandon Schmidt was your winner in that one. In the IMCA Stock Cars, here's a name from the past that Todd loved. Hot Rod Snellenberger picked up the IMCA Stock Car. We haven't talked about him in probably 6-8 years. So cool to see him get a win. Eagle River also ran on Tuesday night in the limited lates. It was Jason DeDroit. The stock cars was Ryan Glenbin. Moberly, Missouri, the UMP Summer Nationals Tuesday night. Billy Moyer Jr. was your winner. Wednesday in Davenport, Iowa, the UMP Summer Nationals. Ashton Winger picked up the win. Brandon, South Dakota, Huset's Speedway, the Huset's High Bank Nationals. 3 nights of qualifying races, $20,000 to win each of those nights. Kyle Larson was Wednesday night's winner. Thursday night, night number 2, in Brandon, South Dakota, another $20,000 on the line. James McFadden was your winner. Friday night up at Chilton Gravity Park, the late models were there. Justin Schmidt picked up the win. The Grand Nationals went to Jeff Richards. Seymour, the Outagamie County Speedway, and the IMCA Modifieds, it was Benji Lacrosse. The stock cars went to Brett Wenzel. Menominee, Wisconsin's Red Cedar Speedway, the Wissota late models, Jim Carlson got the win, and the Wissota Modifieds was Jason Richardson. Darlington, Wisconsin, the Lafayette County Speedway, in the IMCA Modifieds, Jeff Larson got the victory. And the limited lates was DJ Sweet. Jim Falls, Wisconsin, Eagle Valley Speedway, the Wissota Modifieds, Jake Smith was your winner. Out in Fountain City, Wisconsin, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway and the USRA Modifieds, Dan Ebert got the win. And the USRA limited lates went to Ryan Olson. Brownstown, Illinois, the UMP Summer Nationals, Jason Fager grabbed the win. Park City, Kansas, the 81 Raceway for the Case Construction World of Outlaw Late Model Series. They had twin features. Bobby Pierce and Brandon Shepard were your winners there. Sarver, Pennsylvania, the Lernerville Speedway for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Firecracker 100. They were supposed to race on Thursday. It rained out, so they ran all 4 qualifying features on Friday night, 5,000 to win each of them. Ricky Thornton Jr., Jonathan Davenport, Tim McCready, and Max Blair picked up those wins. Brandon, South Dakota, Friday night, the final qualifying night for the High Bank Nationals, another $20,000 to win. Logan Schuhart was your winner. Last night at Plymouth, the MSA 360 Sprints, Ben Schmidt was your winner. The Grand Nationals went to Will Source. Francis Creek, Wisconsin, the 141 Speedway, the Dirt Kings Late Model Series, Diamond 40, $4,000 to win. Nick Anvilink was your winner. Grand Nationals went to Daryl Traber, and the stock cars was Luke Lemons. Up at Shawano in the late models, Joe Reuter picked up the win. I believe that's his first win. That is my old racer, Tim Bueller's son-in-law. So it's cool to see him get his first late model feature win up at Shawano. In the modified, Jordan Bartz was your winner, and the stock cars was Travis Van Stratton. I was at Wilmot last night to see the USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Series. Great feature up there. Brady Bacon used the high side to pick up the win. The IRA wingless sprints went to Jimmy Sivia, and the modifieds went to Chris Carlson. Down at Fairbury, Illinois, the IRA sprint cars, Joe B. Miller picked up the win. The UMP late models went to McKay Wanger. Peevely, Missouri, the I-55 Raceway for the UMP Summer Nationals, 10,000 win. Stormy Scott got the win. In the UMP modifieds, Mike Harrison beat out Kenny Wallace to pick up the win in that one. Down in Park City, Kansas, the 81 Raceway for the World of Outlaw Case Construction late models, Dennis Erb Jr. grabbed the win. Down in Sarver, Pennsylvania, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Firecracker, $150,000 to win. Ricky Thornton Jr. again picked up another big win. Boy, he's won like all of them this year with the exception of the Dream, I think. He is on one serious roll.
And got DQ'd for one, too.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, he'd be even on a bigger roll. Out in Alger, Washington, the Skagit Speedway for the 51st Annual Dirt Cup, $62,000 to win for the sprint cars. Justin Sanders was your winner. He led every lap. That gave him an additional $20,000, so he picked up $82,000 last night out there. But that is not the biggest race of the weekend, because Brandon, South Dakota at the Huset's Raceway, the Huset High Bank Nationals for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, $250,000 to win that 30-lap feature last night, and David Gravel picked up the win there. And ironically enough, David Gravel's car is owned by the guy who owns Huset Speedway, so he kind of kept the money in-house there, but he had to work to get it. And Buddy Kofoid had that race won. He moved into the Roth Motorsports 83 car, teammates with James McFadden. He was off and running and going to win that race, and unfortunately had an engine expire with 10 laps to go. That is a heartbreak for that poor kid. He was on his way to a $250,000 payday. And that is everything we have for this week.
And thanks to Paul Reichert for our results from around the state of Wisconsin. Last Sunday afternoon at the Milwaukee Mile, it was Ty Majeski putting a can of whoop ass on him. The Mid-American Series raced out there. Jeremy Spoonmore was your winner. And in the Midwest Truck Series, it was Chester Ace. Thursday night at State Park Speedway, the UMA Super Late Models, Jason Weinkauf was your winner. And at Wisconsin International Raceway in Kaukauna, Super Lates, it was Sawyer Efforts. And in the late models, it was J.J. Vanderloop. Friday night at Golden Sands, the UMA Limited Late Models raced Kendrick Cryer. He's been doing pretty good at Golden Sands. You know, it seems like the pro late model division, or limiteds, or whatever they call them at whatever track you're at, they seem to have one guy that seems to be dominating all the time. Like, for instance, at Madison on Friday night, it was Zach Riddle racing, again winning out there in the NASCAR late models. The USAC Silver Crown Series raced out there, too, on Friday night. Cody Swanson was your winner. Saturday night, Dells Raceway Park. It was the Alive for 5 Super Late Model Series. I didn't realize I could have found it on somewhere on the internet. You guys were watching Luke Fenhouse do a hell of a job, huh?
Yeah, it was on Pit Road TV. And early on in that race, like lap 20, Luke Fenhouse got into Gabe Summers. And they both spun around. Luke tapped out, went to the back. And that was a 99-lap race. So he started last, and in 77 laps, he caught Summers on the final lap, passed him on the last lap, and got the win. A really good race.
What a show! That's amazing. In the 602 late models, Alex Hartwig was the winner. At Elko, the Arca Menard Series ran Jesse Love winning for the fourth time this year. But what was amazing is the local kid, William Sawalich from Minnesota, didn't win. He finished second. Kind of a big deal. Jesse Love is a pretty damn good driver. Both of those kids are really good. At La Crosse, it was rained out. And at Rockford Speedway in their final season, Michael Bilderback won in the Pro Late Models. And that's what we had. Oh, Slinger Speedway. Oh, Slinger Speedway last week. Dennis Prunty won for the first time this year and looked pretty darn good doing it. And tonight they're going to race the Pro Late Models. Will take center stage. And like I mentioned, it seems like every track has one guy that seems to be really doing the job. Zach Riddle's been doing it at Madison. Mike Litchfield has been the man at Dells Raceway Park. Jesse Bernhagen has run the table so far at Slinger Speedway. Jason Erickson has been kicking everybody's ass at Jefferson Speedway. Kendrick Cryer's been doing it at Plover. Kind of Brent Strelka, I guess, has won a bunch of races up at WIR. Every track has one guy. And Dan, that might come to an end tonight, huh? Who knows?
I heard maybe Zach Riddle might be there tonight to kind of give Jesse Bernhagen a run for his money. So that'd be kind of cool to see.
Don't you forget, the regular Slinger guys got a bunch of guys that can win. They just haven't yet. So let's see how that works out. We'll be right back.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with 8 adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
On the latest Tales from 1265, we dive into how the first Hall of Fame for an individual team came to fruition and the most unique story in all of sports.
They go further in the red, but then community leaders decided to have that first stock sale.
I'm Doug Russell. Join me for Tales from 1265 on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Tales from 1265 is presented by Nicolay Law, Wisconsin's winning team of lawyers that will get you back in the game.
And welcome to the final segment of LTN. All right, let's check with those callers and see who's going to Chicago. Joe in Greenfield. Joe, are you going next week?
Sorry, I called before you said that announcement.
Oh, okay.
So if I need to call back next week, I will. But my question was, has anybody gone to the Indy Road course? Is there a good place to sit?
Dan?
I think we lost Dan there, but we were talking about it because we're thinking about going down there for the IMSA race in September, and there are a couple good mound spots, like where they go into turn one and a couple on the back straightaway, but you can also get in the grandstand, and there's some pretty good spots there, too, around the outside of the road course. Dan, you've been to the road course a couple times for the Indy cars, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of different areas you could watch from. Turn one's a pretty popular area. There's some hills up there. Also, on the back of the straightaway, I think it's turn 7. There's hills on the along the whole course around there, and that's usually a good place for people to stay. You're up high, you can see everything. As you said, all the grandstands if you want to. But turn 1 and turn, I think it's 7. It's at the end of that long back straightaway are the two most popular places.
All right, Joe, thank you for the call. We do appreciate it. Neil in Brookfield. Neil, are you going to Chicago?
No, I'm not, but I got a suggestion for anybody that might be.
Okay.
Take Amtrak, the train down.
Okay.
It gets you pretty close. It's $45 round trip. They got a lot of trains on the weekend. but you got to reserve your seat ahead of time.
I have to remember the train stations. One downtown Milwaukee. There's another one south too. I can't remember.
They stop at Mitchell, and then I think they stop in Caledonia also.
Oh, Caledonia.
Sturtevant.
Sturtevant.
That's it. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, that's a good idea if you're going. I mean, it's hell. You're going to pay more than that to park your car downtown, especially tomorrow, and then you're going to probably end up walking further than from what the train station is to the racetrack. So.
Yeah, I say it's $45 round trip, but you gotta do a reserve. You got to reserve ahead because they sell out on weekends. Normally, even without a big event, they sell out on Saturdays. So if you just go down to the station, you'll be disappointed. Go online and lock in your tickets.
And maybe if they have enough people that are interested, they'll add a couple of cars to the train. That's the beautiful thing about trains, So
don't hold your breath. Amtrak doesn't have that much smarts.
Neil, we appreciate the suggestion. That's pretty good.
Yes, I've taken that a couple times to go to Cubs games, and it's actually a pretty cool experience to go down there, especially when the Cubs play the Brewers. We went to one of those games that time. The whole train was full of fans like that, so it's kind of a neat experience.
I took buses to Chicago already for the Brewers Cubs, but I never took a train. Actually, I went to Jeff Hornigold's house, our late co-host on the program. I went to his house and we took a train from Crystal Lake down, and that worked out pretty good, although it was a couple block walk over to Wrigley, but that was pretty cool too. So we do thank those callers, and if anybody, we're running short. Here's what I'm going to do though. 2 weeks from today during the program, I'm going to ask any of our callers that went to the race what your experience was like, and we'll get some I have a funny feeling there's going to be some good stories. So
maybe we'll even get some next week Sunday who were at the Xfinity race on Saturday. It'd be cool.
It would. Of course, you guys are going to be there, and you're going to have your hands full for that too. So, all right, gentlemen, it's time for us to make our picks. I just want you to know, as bad as we are at making these picks, and I'm going to go first. If I pick one that, for instance, one of you guys want, I mean, it doesn't matter if we both agree on a pick. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. I think Tyler Reddick is the guy today. He was fastest in practice, second in qualifying. He's got a great car, starting up front, and why not? All right, go ahead. Dano, you're next.
All right, that was a guy I was going to pick was Reddick, but since you took him, I'll take the second pick, Martin Truex Jr.
Oh, all of a sudden, Truex is the man after winning the road course, interestingly enough. All right, Brian, who you got?
I want to take Chase Elliott, but every time I take Chase Elliott, he keeps going backwards. So this Chevy's got to get back in the winning column here again. It's been a while. The Toyotas are kind of getting their act together here, so I'm going to go with Kyle Larson.
And both Dan and I both took Toyotas. I'm not sure. I don't think that's what we really planned on doing, but it's just a number, just a guy in a race car, right? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that it's a Toyota. Car was made in the U.S. Damn it. What everybody says anyway. All right. Oh, by the way, Gregson is back. He had a concussion. If you remember that concussion protocol, he missed the last race out in California, and he's back in his car. So that's a wonderful thing. A reminder. Our late partner Ed Kaluka's celebration of life is today. It's at Slinger Speedway from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock this afternoon before the racing gets underway. It will not conflict with racing at any time. And it'll be at the south end of the racetrack at the Lynch Pavilion. Public is invited, and we'd like to see everybody there that was a fan of Ed Kaluka's like we all were here, and how much he's added to this program over the years. And it's still takes some getting used to and to not hear his voice on Sunday mornings. Hey, there was a crew chief shuffle. If you'll remember, the crew chief for the 14 car got suspension. Johnny Klausmeyer, they replaced him with Riley Herbst crew chief, Richard Boswell. He's going to be the new full-time crew chief for the 14 car of Briscoe. And Dan, I guess they worked together before, right?
Yeah, he back in the Xfinity Series, that was his crew chief then. And Brian, you're going to run out to Road America for June sprints today too, aren't you?
Correct. Yep, I was out there for a little while yesterday. I'll be out there today to see the GT1 cars run. They're running at I believe it's 3 o'clock today. So those are a lot of Trans Am 2 cars there that are going to be there in 2 weeks for the Trans Am race are out there this week. They had about 5 or 6 of them out there. So come on out, check it out.
All right, and for all of us, we want you to remember that real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. For all of us involved with the program, we appreciate the fact that you tune in every Sunday morning right here on the Big 920, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.